lot of people come into Vodou and it's almost like you think that you're going into like a college. Vodou is very different. So when some of the newcomers come in and they're like, it's been 1 or 2 years, I feel like I should already be a mumble, inhale, exhale, girl. Like, I don't know what to tell you. More structured American timeline. You'll get there when you get there. Hey guys, I know it's been a while, but as some of you might know if you follow me on Instagram, I did get pregnant and then I gave birth. And once I got pregnant, I pretty much stopped making videos. So this is my attempt to go back in helping the community with these explanations. And I appreciate you guys for being so patient, especially since I kind of dropped off the face of the planet when I got pregnant. But I am here to answer some questions that I've heard and some of you have messaged me looking for answers for. And one of the top ones right now is looking for a spiritual house. Like, a lot of people are trying to find some spiritual house to kind of grow in and learn from. But I think there's a few misconceptions that, especially people raised in America and not really raised around Haitians or not raised around the culture of Vodou, might not be clear on. And one of those is probably like the perception, if that's the correct word. But it's essentially how your development is going to go. A lot of people come into Vodou and it's almost like you think that you're going into like a college, where there is a very structured curriculum each semester. You know what your goals are, you know what you're trying to achieve, and you have an understanding that by the end of the first 2 years you'll have your AA, in the 4 years you'll have your bachelor's or whatever, and then you can continue on whether you want to do a master's, PhD, whatever. But Vodou is very different. For one, Vodouis don't really have a lot of times the most structured curriculum, if you know what I mean. You are learning a kind of a culture, but it's supposed to be immersive. In a lot of traditional practitioners' mind, there isn't supposed to be a curriculum. There isn't supposed to be a time where you sit down like you're in a classroom. You're supposed to kind of just be around, and then while you're around, you keep picking up on things. And the longer you're around, the more likely you are to figure out how to do certain things and figure out what role or what place you're going to carve out for yourself within the practice and within your spiritual house. The second thing is that a lot of more traditional practitioners, it doesn't come very natural to us trying to teach people. And I am considering myself one of the more traditional people because I was raised in Vodou. I didn't like initiate into the house. The house I'm a part of is, is the house of my family. My birth mom is my spiritual mom. And so sometimes people will ask me questions, and it almost feels like trying to teach an alien how to breathe air when they are used to going through the process of chemosynthesis. Like, how do I explain? You just take a deep breath and then you let it out. Inhale, exhale, girl. Like, I don't know what to tell you. That honestly is how it feels sometimes, because I've never thought about a lot of the little teeny tiny questions that outsiders might have when they first come into the practice. Years into teaching the way that I'm now, it's a lot easier for me to explain things to you guys. But when you're going to more traditional practitioners, they're still in that mindset of just be a part of it and exist within the practice, to let the practice and a lot of the aspects of it download. And then the third thing that I think new practitioners might want to get into their head, especially if you're looking for a more traditional teacher and leader, is that there is no time frame. You know, some of you think that after a year or two, it's like, yeah, I should have already accomplished this. Like, it's like college. I learned what I had to learn, and now I should be able to call myself Hunsi. I should be able to call myself Mabonga. I should be able to call myself whatever. But that's not always the way that it works, because there are people who study every single day, who work day in and day out with a spiritual leader. And yet, even though they're working day in and day out, that doesn't mean that, spiritually speaking, they're advancing the way that they might want to. You could sit there learning everything that you want, but some of the practice is out of our hands. The spirit has to choose you. Spirits have to align with you. This has to be the path that was meant for you. And so there are some people, they'll learn and they'll learn and they'll learn, and they just won't understand why they're not advancing the way that they want. And a good teacher might be able to help you, and we do our best to do that, but sometimes it's kind of out of our hands. And so when you're going to kind of join a spiritual house, manage your expectations. I have I have siblings, spiritual siblings that I've known for over a decade. You know, one of my spiritual siblings, I've known her for so long. That lady, she paid for me to she paid for me to get my permit years ago when I was first learning to drive. I knew her before she had her kid. You know, I've known some of these people for so long, because in a traditional Vodou house, these people, they basically become your family. So when some of the newcomers come in and they're like, it's been 1 or 2 years, I feel like I should already be a mumble, whatever, whatnot, like, why am I not this or that? Well, that's kind of different for more traditional practitioners, like the ones who still do it the way that we would in like Haiti, and who don't really follow a more structured American timeline. Because if you are more traditional, you know that it's just gonna take as long as it takes. You know, it's like a ceremony. We'll finish when we finish. You'll get there when you get there. Spirit is gonna guide, and we're gonna do whatever we want. And sometimes you might achieve the goal you thought you wanted in a year or two. You might be doing things you didn't even expect a lot faster than you thought. And then other times you'll be in the game 5 to 10 years, and you'll realize that as much as you wanted something, it was just never meant for you. So these are some of the things I want you to keep in mind as you're trying to figure out what your path is going to look like within Vodou, because it's not as clear cut as some of you guys believe.